scooch that to the side. There we go. It's the one, the only, Clarisse, the sniper in the dark. There's going to be a ton of builds I'm going to talk about with her. Well, maybe not a ton, but a lot of them. She's actually very versatile in the builds she can utilize. I'm going to show you 2 different ones I have for her, and then talk about a couple other ones. Now, the one I have set up for her right now is an enemy phase unit support unit. So that kind of sounds weird. It's slightly complicated, but let me just go through the skills real quick. Clarisse's bow kind of works like a dagger unit, which is pretty neat. I think smoke dagger it is. Pretty similar. So you kind of use her as a setup unit, and then you just have to follow up on it. Night Sky Glimmer, in my last spotlight, I made a mistake, and I got Glimmer and Night Sky mixed up with like Dragon Fang, Draconic Aura, and whatnot. So let me just show you real quick. In the comments, they brought this to my attention. I was like, ah, shit, I got those 2 things mixed up. It's actually not a very good ability because it depends on damage dealt, not your high attack, which is more difficult to utilize. So I gave him Bonfire instead, as they suggested, which is much better, utilizes his high defense. Anyway, so with Clarisse, you probably wouldn't want to use Bonfire, you probably wouldn't want to use Glimmer, Astra, Draconic Aura, none of those things. Most likely Luna or Moonbow would be best suited due to the fact she's got, generally low attack, but high speed, so she'll usually double a couple of things. At 5 stars, she'll have like much higher stats, much higher attack and whatnot, so she'll be much better looking than she is now. But I'm thinking Moonbow Luna to essentially give her an edge against those opponents she normally wouldn't be able to deal any damage against. So anyway, I gave her Deathblow to give her that extra player phase edge, because she won't really be counterattacking things. Not really. Not on purpose, anyway. Poison Strike, which is actually really nice. Her original build is actually good. Threat and defense, Poison Strike. The reason why I say she's a support unit is because the 2 different builds I gave her, her default one, we'll talk about first, is Poison Strike will deal like 10 damage, and her threat and defense is good, it's okay, but it takes a lot of follow-up, because this activates at the beginning of her turn, so it's kind of difficult to utilize unless you're like putting her close to the line of fire and she gets it to proc and then she utilizes it to attack, and then probably she doesn't deal enough damage, so somebody else has to follow up on it. So it was kind of chintzy, so I switched it up a bit. But essentially it can be a potential of like 15 damage with Poison Strike and Threat and Defense, but Threat and Defense takes like a turn to work. I didn't like that a heck of a lot. So, instead, I went with Seal Defense and Spur Attack, so everything can happen in the same turn. So what I'll have her do, and this is getting back to the enemy phase unit support unit, put a hyphen in between those, enemy phase unit hyphen support unit. That's what she is. So basically, I'll use Camus as an example, because he can be used as a great enemy phase unit. So, the thing I'm trying to kill, super tough, alright? Throw Clarisse at it, son of a fucking bitch. She goes in, does a fair amount of damage, and she does Seal 3 on him, defense -7. So, since Clarisse just shot at this one foe, whoever follows up on that foe is going to be adjacent to Clarisse, so they're going to get the benefit of Spur Attack 3. So that leads for a potential extra damage of 11 in a single shot, because their defense is lowered by 7. This is also assuming that you're following up with a physical attacker. So potential extra damage of 11, possibly 22 if they're fast enough to double. If that's not insta-killing, I don't know what is. Now, I'm thinking even further ahead, because I said she was an enemy phase unit, support unit. That means anybody that was in range to attack the person you just followed up on the original foe with, their attack and speed will be lowered by 5. So that reduces, with -5 speed, that almost always reduce that foe to being able to double whatever unit you sent out. Unless you have like a really slow foe, or a really slow unit you have out there, or the enemy is really fast, like Lucina or something. So I shouldn't speak in definites, even though I said almost. But anyway, their attack will be lowered too, so if they do double, that's -10. That supports an enemy phase unit a lot because it increases their tankiness, essentially. So they'll be able to take all those hits, those -5 speed and attack. They won't be taking nearly as much damage as they would have without Clarisse in the first place. Now, I'm hoping after all this rambling you understand what I'm talking about with these particular builds. They're very interesting, and I really liked using them in the team that I had. God damn it. Yeah, right here. It was very easy to follow up on the damage that Clarisse was putting out, and Camus just walked all over everybody. With his nice speed, good defense. He just could not be beat when paired up with Clarisse. It was amazing. So, with Clarisse's stat spread, which it's generally going to be like 2 to 3 points higher when you make her a 5-star on like pretty much everything, right? So you could pretty much give her any other build out there for a good archer unit. If you don't already have a good one, like maybe Klein, George, Takumi, one of those things, you can essentially build her to be similar to whatever archer you wanted. So, a good, it's not the best, but a good build could also be a Brave Bow user, where you set her up to quadruple something. But generally you use her for this only if you don't have a better unit available, like maybe Setsuna, who has a very, very high speed, very reliably quadrupling things. Although, I've seen similar builds where they use the Brave Bow setup, however, go full into attack instead. So, like, her stat spread is very generous. It's very spread out, so you can utilize her for many different things. You know, you could do Brave Bow, Life and Death, Desperation, and Threat and Defense, whatever. C skills depend on your team, for the most part, and what you want to use them for. You could also go Brave Bow. I did the... Oh yeah, Speed. So you give her like Darting Blow. What's the other one? Followed up with... I forget. She also does well with Rage and whatnot. I've seen tons of builds for this character in my research. Tons of builds. But the most interesting one I want to talk about now is the Fire Sweep Bow with Wind Sweep. Well, not with Wind Sweep, but... Oh, that was the ability I was trying to think of. Yeah, Wind Sweep. She makes actually very good use of Wind Sweep and Water Sweep, which I actually considered giving her because I have a 4-star Soren. Let's get back to this in a second. She can make pretty good use of Water Sweep and Wind Sweep. Ugh, fuck. I'm trying to talk Too many words coming out of my mouth at once. Heh, coming. Ugh. Anyway. To utilize her with her debuff build, you could use Wind Sweep or Water Sweep here to avoid her taking any unnecessary counter damage, which is pretty nice. Anyway, getting back to the Fire Sweep bow, you could essentially make Clarisse a better Fae. Sad to say, but it's kind of true. Fae has been annoying me lately, and I've been actually considering giving her bow to somebody else. Because she's just weird. This is when your stat spread kind of goes wrong. A tanky bow user. Who the fuck needs that? It's helped me a couple of times, but what the fuck? So, Clarisse can make... No, fuck you, get off my team. Clarisse can make better use of that Fire Sweep bow than she can, because she's got higher speed, higher attack, and she can actually utilize the... Where the fuck? Up here. God damn it. She can actually utilize the non-counterattack that she gets because of her setup. So normally when you would use her, if you were attacking somebody who could counterattack, she would take a little bit of chip damage, and then you would follow up with another unit, la-di-da, with Fire Sweep bow. You would... Actually, you wouldn't have, like, the debuff stuff, but she would be, like, a much better attacker setup unit. She would be doing a lot more damage and then not taking any in return. So that would allow her to counter bow users and magic users, and also distant counter users much better. I've seen people use, I think, Fire Sweep bow combined with Fury, Luna, and then another thing. God damn it, I keep forgetting. But she's actually a very good unit, and I would recommend utilizing her if you don't already have a good bow user. You don't have to drop all of your orbs into the system just to get, I don't know, fucking healers back. Or maybe you'll use spending your orbs as an excuse to get a bow user when all you really want is a booby lady. Fucking Tiki. Yeah, I guess I've rambled on for enough. Kind of explained the original builds I had in mind, some of the other ones that are floating around up there. Hopefully I've explained it well enough, because I feel like I've rambled a lot. My thoughts are all over the place. Don't know why. But yeah, thanks for watching.